Hey, hey, hey. Thanks again for pressing play and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. It might be late July, but we're still here potting away because there's always something to talk about. It's the beautiful thing about basketball. Always something to talk about. If it's the regular season, duh. If it's the playoffs, oh shit. If it's free agency and the trade deadline and the draft, yeah. And even with Summer League and the pending Olympics, we got plenty to talk about on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. So, as per usual, I welcome my podcasting partner, Matthew. Excited to see you, man. Excited to talk.
Yes, very excited for this podcast. A lot of the good things happened, but good just to be back. Right?
Well, I was thinking about this. We record every week, and it's been a week since we recorded last Wednesday. And shout out to my guys at Fanning the Flames. I don't know how you do it. It's been 68 days since they last potted.
Counting?
I counted it. It's May 17th, the last time they put out a podcast, which means they probably recorded on May 16th, which means it's been 69 days since they've podcasted. And it's been a week, and I feel like there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things to just put out into the universe, and I miss talking basketball. So that's why I'm glad we're doing this, Matthew.
Yeah, but why would they do it if we're doing it? Like, if I'm then and I just watch us all the time and be like, you know what, they're doing a good job, they're fine. What else are we going to talk about? I think maybe we take the excitement away from them because so many people before were waiting just for them. Now they have us and them. So I don't know.
Do you think that we are the Fanning the Flames killjoys? Is that what you're saying? It's like they would be podcasting more often, but the Suns Jam Session goes live once a week, and we literally cover all the exact same topics that they would be covering, and therefore they're not going to do it. This makes complete sense to me, and I
do miss them. I do miss their bickering back and forth. I enjoy their guests too. They always do have Bloom usually. So get back on there, guys.
Well, get back on the horse, Fan of the Flames. We want to hear what you have to say. But thank you to everybody who is watching along live, whether you're doing so on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I don't think I hooked this one up to our Twitch feed. So the one person who watches this on Twitch will not see this one live. For that, I apologize retroactively to our one Twitch person. I don't know why I hook us up to that, but I do. That channel does exist, and I don't know why. But we got plenty to talk about on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. So make sure you subscribe, you hit like, you rate, you review, and you hit that bell notification. And I recommend doing so because over the summer, one thing that we like to do is we will have a Jamsters React kind of episode where you can actually come on the episode and shoot the shit with us because we are about to enter the barren landscape of the basketball offseason. Now, this season's a little different because we do have Team USA in the Olympics right around the corner, but Summer League's now done, and we're generally in that area. It's like the Dune landscape or Mad Max Fury Road landscape of nothing going on. And so that's when we like to sit and shoot the shit with people and get kind of their points of view from all over the world. But that's not going to be what we're going to talk about on this episode, is it, Matthew?
No, and it's nice to have them come on here and take maybe about 5 or 10 minutes away from us and just go on rants. Let us know exactly what's on your mind in this offseason and what you want to see improved. It's always nice to hear different takes, right? I repeat everything constantly, so they're probably sick of hearing about it. So it's good for them to come on and spiel it themselves.
Yeah, a good rant episode. And Justin is in the chat and he goes, wait, what? Justin, it's been 68 days since you've put out an episode. And I just don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. But I'll tell you what we're doing right here on the Jam Session. I've got this big old fat Budweiser that's been sitting in my fridge for like a month. So I figured, why not pop this son of a bitch on the podcast? So I'm going to do that. Wow. Ooh, crack. Let's go. Let's talk some basketball. That's right, ladies and jamsters. Suns Jam Session podcast coming to you late July. And although there's no Suns basketball officially going on, I still got questions. We still got stuff to talk about. So let's kick it off with our first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask,
Matthew, I gotta ask. Summer Suns are done. They went 2-3 in Las Vegas. What are your final thoughts on the
Oh,
2024 Summer Suns?
it's interesting because they're back, they're playing. Some excitement heading into next year because of those young rookies. So you saw these guys on the floor with summer league players where maybe they shouldn't belong. Oso, definitely. Ryan Dunn, definitely. The two that really stood out to me as guys that will for sure be NBA players because they stood out above all the rest. No matter what the stats said, no matter the wins, 2-3, whatever they went 2-3, right? And the summer league, who cares? That
That's
doesn't matter. I
right.
know the Heat won the championship. They went 6-0, 7-0 actually. I
Did
think
they
they won.
really? I don't. I didn't even
Oh,
know
6
that.
and 0, yeah. Yeah. They won it. So I mean, for the Suns though, it was just about the body language for me. It was good to see those young guys out there actually stand out among the rest, and the defense and the intensity that they played with, the care, that meant a lot to me. That meant a lot to me, and it should mean a lot to the Suns fans because we got two young guys that are going to come into this training camp, and they're pretty explosive. So it's going to be interesting to see how they make it this season and how they improve. But it's already off to a good start. I feel like
Tell me what you saw from their body language.
just that they're bigger, they're better than all those other guys, right? I
Yeah.
think that the one thing from Ryan Dunn is he's just a bigger dude than I thought.
Ryan Dunn?
Oh,
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
very nice. Is that the first time?
First time,
It's-
the Ryan Dunn drop. You like how I run out of
Yeah.
breath on the back end? You can hear me run out. I'm like,
you're all grabbing your side.
oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Someone had like a weird comment. Did you see me comment back on I think you put it on, was it not Instagram? It was on what was it? I don't know. There was some weird comment. I commented back a little immaturity because they actually were talking about that's not the Jaws theme or whatever. It's like, dude, get the fuck out of here.
And
Like
it
it's
is
so
the
weird.
Jaws theme.
Yeah, it's like what are they even talking about? It's like
That's not the Jaws theme because you're saying
After all
done
that
instead
work.
of the music being
Yeah.
played done. Get out of
yeah,
here.
I told them something about their mom having lockjaw.
Oh,
or
good. I
something.
saw the comment. I didn't know that you
Yeah, that
replied
was
to
me.
it.
Yep. Because it just makes me mad. It's like I'm laying there in bed and it's such a good drop and all the hard work put into it. It's like, oh, that's not even the theme. It's like, dude, go fuck yourself. All right. So what are we talking about? So why do
We're
they
talking about
stand out?
Yeah,
So
the body language of Ryan Dunn.
yeah, it's just about body language and the brilliance, fucking brilliance, Sausage J. The brilliance that he had on the court, just the fact that he was bigger than the rest, that he does have the defense to compete. And you're just wondering, like, does it mean anything in summer league? It definitely does. If they go to that next level where they do stand out in a way where they're grabbing balls from the other player, where they're actually beating them at the rim almost every time from the weak side, like stuff like that, that transitions to the NBA. That means they're going to be very competitive. That means that from what my eye can catch, that they're going to be competitive against guys maybe coming off the bench or even in the starting lineup once in a while due to injury.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's the refreshing thing about Summer League, and I don't need to go on and on about what I saw from Ryan Dunn and how I absolutely loved it because I've done that, I think, on the previous two shows. But I like what you brought up because it is a fact of life that iron sharpens iron, or steel sharpens steel, or diamonds sharpen diamond, whatever the saying is. These guys are going to go up in practice against Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. And it's going to make them better, and it's going to make those three and everyone else on the team better because they're going to have to play against somebody who has that elite defensive skill set. He's going to have to continue to grow and develop that, and he will. Maybe some baby matrix in there could be a better defender than Sean Marion. Obviously, what set Sean Marion apart was his rebounding, was just unbelievable. Unbelievable rebounding from Sean Marion. But I think that the fact that him and Oso Ighodaro are going to be a part of this big league team, if you will, and are going to be playing against these guys, it's going to give them an opportunity to get better and to make the team holistically better. Now, where do they stand relative to their ranking as members of the Phoenix Suns? If you were to rank, Devin Booker 1, Kevin Durant 2, Bradley Beal 3, it's a little further down the line, obviously. Out of the 17 players that are rostered, they're going to 13, 14, 15th. I want to say they're 16th, 17th. But they have the potential to get up into that top 10, top 6, maybe one day player on relative to overall ranking on the Suns. Which reminds me, Matthew, have you filled out your rankings for Brightside?
No, I saw your comment though.
Okay, make sure
So
you do that sometime
I'll
because
be
I'm
on.
writing art.
Yep,
That's
definitely.
kind of a feature that I'm doing on Bright Side of the Sun is Suns Rank, something Dave King used to do every summer, and it's an opportunity for the readers and us as the writers to kind of rank
That was always
overall
fun.
1 through 17. It's always interesting to see where people
Where
end up
DeAndre
because
Ayton would land.
yeah, when we used to do the Suns ranks with Andre Ayton, it's like,
Yeah.
and I went back and I looked at one from like 2016, and Kellen Olson, who used to write for Bright Side of the Sun, had Devin Booker as the sixth best player on the 2016-17 team. And the
Okay.
first article I'm calling him out on that, and I'm going to tag him on Bright Side, and he'll never talk to me again. But it's worth noting. So I like what I saw from Ryan Dunn. I like what I saw from Oso Ighodaro. And I like what we saw from a lot of the ancillary guys, but it's the same conversation that we always have, right? Does it matter? Like, does the fact that Michael DeVoe played well matter, or Isaiah Wong that they played well matter? Now, are they going to be signed by the G League Suns and we'll see them potentially in our pipeline? Maybe, but I don't think so. Do you?
Maybe. Yeah. Now that we have a G League team, yeah, maybe. And that does matter in that case because you're going to have that other team that you want to fill those roster spots with the guys that actually performed well in the summer league because it carry over into the G League. So it's familiar to us who these guys are now. If we did watch all of the games, I know I only caught 2, but if you're familiar with these guys, it's going to be nice to see them over here in Phoenix now playing in the G League. So I know you said Ryan Dunn, Oso, probably maybe top 12 at least, right? Number 11, 12 on the team right now. But
Yeah,
just
little
having,
right in there.
yeah, so having them right there, though, it is exciting. And the Summer League doesn't matter, but I'm just saying from the way I watch Summer League, I only need the 2 minutes. And you can just tell when these guys have it or not. And if it transitions,
What'd you think of David Roddy?
I don't like him.
Yeah, I'm not there. And
I
he had
just
some great
I
games.
like him. I like him, but it's not there. And I love the story, but I don't love the fact that when he's out there, he will make the explosive dunk once in a while. He does have that, but there's just something missing. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the size, maybe it's the length, but there's just something missing with the dude. And it's not going to quite transition to a season with the Suns next year.
I completely agree. Like, he was statistically the best player on the team. You know, he scored the most points, but he also took the most shots, and it wasn't most efficient. I think he scored 15 points a game on 11 shots, so not super efficient. But he's definitely somebody who made an impact, but it wasn't the kind of impact that caught my eye. It was almost like through brute force, he put up numbers and input himself into the game. And obviously they won one of their 2 games against Oklahoma City Thunder based on Roddy's late game performance. And I tip my cap to that, and I thank him for his efforts, but I just don't see it as an NBA player. I see him as an Ish Wainwright type, and that's not a great thing to be. Like, a great guy, love him, think he's a fantastic human being, but when it comes to production on the court and impact on this roster, Roddy just isn't it. And in my opinion, he's somebody who kind of takes up a roster spot who could be filled by a vet minimum guy right now who could at least have the potential to affect this roster, who could have the potential to get playing time, who could have the potential to swing a game or 2. And Roddy, I just don't see that because there's still a ton of free agents out there, Matthew. You see it every day. You're like, oh shit, that guy just signed. I didn't know he was even still out there. Because as we talked about on a couple podcasts ago, the second apron has killed the middle class contract. So a lot of these guys who went out there trying to get anywhere between $6 to $16 million a year, they're not getting it because teams aren't willing to invest that in any format because it could push them closer to that second apron line or the first apron line, and they don't want to incur any of those penalties. So these guys are signed for vet minimum deals. I'd much rather take one of those players than a David Roddy at this point.
I would too, and it's like last year when we did have him at the end of the year. It was a nice addition, but then like, damn, dude, I hope we don't get to that position again this year, to where we're having guys like a David Roddy kind of fill out the roster. Because I feel like you said, there's a lot of names out there to where we won't have to, unless there are injuries, to where some of these guys might have to sit out. But other than that, if we're a full healthy squad, I don't want guys like a David Roddy on the bench. But it might not be an option, but it might happen again. We'll see.
And the hope was he would demonstrate some value that you could trade him in some capacity. But even in that, you're so...
It just smelt from the beginning.
It did. It smelled like old sneakers, like Reeboks. Like, who wears Reeboks anymore? Unless you're wearing the AI question answer 3s or whatever they are. You don't wear Reeboks. Okay. It's not 1997.
Oh, I did.
What time it is? Oh,
just really quick. Oh, did I grow some boobs? Look at those things, dude.
Whoa,
Look at those
dude.
fucking cans.
You grew them. It's Matthew's been working on growing them. It's like chia pet.
Yeah, I've been taking that testosterone.
Yeah.
Makes them a little sensitive. A little bit of milk squirts out every now and then.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
All right, trivia time out here. And obviously with the Olympics upcoming, I started to put together a piece, I finished a piece for Brightside that's going to publish on Friday. And I'm talking about the top 6 Olympic performances by members of the Phoenix Suns. So my question to you, Matthew, and to all the Jamsters who happen to be watching along live, wherever you might be doing so, here's my trivia time question for you. When is the last time an Olympic team rostered 2 active members of the Phoenix Suns? I'm not saying somebody who played for the Suns. I'm saying they played for the Phoenix Suns the season that they went to the Olympics. When is the last time this occurred?
Was it 96?
96 is incorrect. There was only one member of the Phoenix Suns on that 96 team. It was Charles Barkley, who days after the Olympics was traded to the Houston Rockets.
Okay. No, I was thinking about, I didn't know if Danny Manning was ever on the.
Danny Manning was on the 1988 team, which was the last team to roster nothing but collegiate players.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
So,
unless someone else has it in the chat.
If anyone in the chat has got...
It would be estrogen, but I'll just say it's testosterone.
Again, when is the last time an Olympic team rostered 2 active members of the Phoenix Suns? Hey.0 says 2000. That would be incorrect. So says Jay says Marley Kidd. Incorrect. Let's see. Phi Eba or Seba is correct. It was the 2004 team that had Amari Stoudemire and Sean Marion. Now, why did you make that sound?
Because they weren't very good.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, it was a terrible team.
That was the team that won the bronze.
Yeah.
A team that started off their Olympic run losing the worst game in Olympic competition for the men's United States basketball team, losing to Puerto Rico, and then ultimately going, I think their final record was 5-3, and they got the bronze medal. And that's what started the whole boom, right? The whole focus on basketball, not just putting together a team full of all-stars, essentially saying, you know what, we need a strategy when we put together a team. And Jerry Colangelo took over basketball operations, and then you had Mike Krzyzewski coaching and Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, and it's what changed the face of basketball because of that shit 2004 team. Now, here's what's also funny about that 2004 team. Okay, their primary point guard was Allen Iverson. Do you know who their backup point guard, and I think he had, and the guy who had the most assists on the team was?
Was it Stephon Marbury?
It was Stephon Marbury, who
the
Suns had traded that previous January. So essentially, the worst team in men's Olympic basketball history for the Team USA had a core of Stephon Marbury, Sean Marion, and Amari Stoudemire. And it gets better from there. Okay, you go back to that 1988 team. The last team to have nothing but collegiate players, right? The reason that the Dream Team happened in 1992 is because that 1988 team came in bronze, and they were like, shit, man, we're losing at our own game. We need to put our pros in here, right? Who was the leading scorer on that 1988 team? All college players. Nope, not Danny Manning. Good guess. Damn good guess.
Oh, okay.
It's got a Suns twist to it, of course.
All right. Let me think, because I want them to kind of Google stuff so I can see the answer. Was it Grant Hill?
No, Grant Hill didn't play.
He was already in?
No, he came out of college in 92.
Oh, my bad.
It was none other than the Suns' first-round pick that year, one Dan Marley, led the 88 team in scoring. So there's only 2 times that the men's basketball team has ever gotten the bronze. They've gotten the silver once and the gold 16 times in all the Olympics. But the 2 times that they had bronze, one time they had their leading scorer was an eventual Phoenix Sun within a couple months, and the other time they had a core of former Phoenix Suns players. So that brings me to my question, Matthew. This year, as we prepare for the 2024 Paris Olympics, is this Team USA doomed for an upset because it is now the second time in Olympic history that two active members of the Phoenix Suns are on it, and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant? Are we doomed for failure?
You know what? I don't know, but there was something released where the Dream Team, I saw it on Twitter. It was the Dream Team did play only 6 NBA players during the 1992 Olympic run. This year, it's over 100. I think it's like 131, like something like that.
61.
Was it 61? Okay.
Yeah. There's only 12 teams.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that makes more sense. Okay.
But that's a crazy stat unto itself.
It is, but does that even matter though? Because is the competition that much better, or is it just because Luka, Dirk Nowitzki, they all came over here, Jokic, those guys, they kind of just they laid the land for everybody else. When back then the competition was still the same, they just weren't playing the NBA. So I don't know if that really matters, but I think if you're talking about like the recent games, kind of how they were close, and I think they're kind of still figuring things out. They haven't released the starting lineup yet, but I do think this team will definitely win. And I don't think it really hangs on if Kevin Durant's there or not due to injury, but they have to. And I think that the competition is going to be stellar, and that's why I'm very excited to watch every game. Like it fucking matters, because to me, like the NBA championship means more to me, to my team winning that, the Devin Booker and Kevin Durant winning a gold medal. Like it's awesome.
Correct.
It's good for them. But for me, it's like now I feel like this time, these Olympics, I feel like because the competition is so great that I'm going to be cheering even harder. And I think the victory, the gold, is going to mean even that much more.
It's a great point you bring up, because yes, the competition has raised, and you can trace it all the way back to 1992 in the Barcelona Olympics. And this isn't anything that's news worthy or breaking news for that matter. That team changed basketball because of how it made it such a global phenomenon. And here we are now 32 years later, and you're seeing the fruits of that. You're seeing organizational basketball has been instituted in countries throughout the world. Team USA in their showcase, right? They played 5 showcase games, warming themselves up for the Paris Olympics. They beat South Sudan by 1 point. Okay, they barely beat the German team. So it's not that the talent level was better back then and they just didn't have an opportunity to play. Or that Team USA in 1992 won by like 45 points a game. Okay, now it's like we're lucky if we get a 10-point victory. The level has risen across the entire world, and a lot of it is that systemic approach to basketball. We know internationally that players practice 6 days a week and play a 7th day, or along those lines. Whereas in America, the way AAU runs, it's play 7 games in a week and practice once. It's reverse, because they're focused on the games. They're focused on things here in America that are quantifiable, statistics, right? You can't put a stat on how somebody practiced, but you put a stat on how they played in a game. And that's what everybody wants at the end of the day. Well, if I've got the best stats, then I can get the most attention, then I can get the best recruiting deals, then I can end up at the best college, and I can end up in the NBA, right? Whereas that's not how it is internationally. It's all fundamentally sound basketball. They focus on the fundamentals. It's like the NBA in the 2000s. It's the best way I can describe it. Internationally, everybody's like Tim Duncan. Fundamentally sound, just gets the job done. America's like Kobe. We want to be flashy. We want to look cool doing it. And you're not going to win every game that way. Now, granted, the USA, because of sheer depth of talent, they are easily the favorites entering the Paris Olympics. But the French team's scary. We open up against Serbia, who we did beat pretty handily. But South Sudan is in our bracket too in Group C, and we only beat them by a point. Do I think that the USA will struggle? I think there will be moments that they will struggle throughout the tournament in Paris. I think ultimately they win the gold, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lose a game or two. Remember that in 2020 or 2021, we lost our first game right out of the gate to France. Now we ended up beating them in the final, but it's definitely doable, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, and it's what's going to make the Paris Olympics so exciting.
Yeah, and you look at the names too, like it's kind of old. I mean, they have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, guys on the Lakers team. These teams that they played for didn't make it very far in the playoffs. That includes Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. I mean, if you're looking at the teams that actually made it far, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, those are the 3 names that made it the furthest. conference championship and then finals. So I don't know if that has to do with just other players being tired, but you're getting guys coming off of teams that are just named as like the big three teams. Like the Sixers just got Paul George. Now it's like the big three with him, Drew Holiday, and Tyrese Maxey in a way. So you're looking at those names and it looks sexy. But now we're doing that in the NBA where it's like these teams look sexy with their names, but they're not winning. They're not winning because they're kind of old. So that might be a factor. So that's one thing to look out for, because we definitely do have those sexy names, but it might not actually present itself on the court. Or just like Sudan, dude, South Sudan, they were an athletic team, very scary. It's like watching the Suns team play the Wolves
out
team.
the three.
Yeah, it's one of those teams where they can get by you and they can get hot, they can go on runs, and we might be a little bit older and slower, but we have the experience in LeBron James to help lead us. I kind of feel like he's going to be that guy to take over like he did in that game to try to end things, and he can still do it. So I wouldn't be shocked if they lose, but it's going to be a hard trip, I feel like, to the finals.
That's my next question, because LeBron James went full alpha in the last two games for Team USA. I mean, he single-handedly willed that team to victory. And at 40 years old, is that something that's sustainable? And is that going to equate to wins for the USA? Or is that going to be something that could be detrimental to this team in Paris?
It's kind of scary, because you look at his age and you just like, how much longer can he do it? But then you're like, can he just get through the Olympics and do it? Because he did it in a way in the playoffs. I know I just said that they didn't make it very far. They did get swept by the Nuggets in round one, or was it round two? Excuse me.
I don't even remember.
Okay, well, they got swept by the Nuggets, but those games were very competitive, and LeBron James had times to take over still. He does have that in him, but then you have other guys around him, and I feel like he's always the one guy that will pass out of situations that are bad that he's not going to take that shot. He's always been that guy. Like, why did LeBron not take that shot to win it? So he has guys around him to finish and to take the big three, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, those guys that can actually step out and take those big threes. They have the big balls to take the threes and hit daggers to win games. So he has that around them. I think we might be just talking about it too much thinking about it too much to where this, the roster looks good. Now I'm kind of digging into, are they too old? Stuff like that. So I think they have the talent, obviously, but when you're talking about just playing these athletic teams, it's going to be scary. And can LeBron actually overcome them? Can he just use his big body? Because he looks like he can against any of these teams.
Yeah.
If he's doing that, getting to the rim and stuff, then I trust this USA team to get it done.
Watching LeBron James take over those games and ultimately win it for Team USA, I'll say a couple things. First, it was nice to see him have that gas left in the tank to do so, because he was hell-bent and determined, and there was no one stopping him. And LeBron James has been like that his whole career. It's something that in recent years he's had to turn on and turn off because age is undefeated, right? But it was weird watching it through the same lens that I watched Kevin Durant in 2021 when Team USA played in Tokyo. It was weird watching one of the great players and actually rooting for them to succeed because they're on your team. Because LeBron James has never been on my team, right? And the last time he was on an Olympic team, when was it? Was it 2012 in London, or was he just on the 08 team? I don't remember, but he wasn't in 2020. He wasn't in 2016 in Rio either. So it's been a while, because he's never played on an Olympic team with Steph Curry. Right. So it's been a while since LeBron's been out there, and that I've had an opportunity as just a basketball fan to root for him. And it was nice to see him turn on that aggression and knowing that he has that. The challenge that Team USA had is they were just cold from beyond the arc. This is a team that is like those old Golden State Warriors teams, where if they get hot from beyond the arc, you're just not beating them. The only reason any team, the German team especially, stayed in the game and South Sudan, is because they couldn't hit the three. Team USA couldn't hit the three. And when you can't hit the three, you're opening up the opportunity for the other team to do so. And that's what they did, is they abided. Now, all that being said, Devin Booker, Bill Simmons pisses me off. Bill Simmons on his
what did he do now?
So on his last podcast, he's talking about Team
the
USA.
One on Monday?
Yeah, the one on Monday where he's breaking down like the overall minutes, and he goes, he's like, every Team USA has the guys, and then they have kind of the sub guys, and then the rest of the bench who aren't going to get any playing time. It's like the guys on the 2020 squad was Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, And then like he's like, Booker, and then he talked about other players, and it's like, no, Booker like was fourth most in minutes on that team. That team lost the first game when Booker was on the bench and won the next 5 when Booker was starting, right? And with this team, he's like, Jason Tatum should be out, or Jaylen Brown should be out there, and it looks like he should be replacing Devin Booker. That's kind of where he should be. It's like Booker's the glue guy on this team. As we prepare for Paris and as fans of the Phoenix Suns, one, we don't know if Kevin Durant's going to play, nor should he. Like, we don't really know that. And 2, Devin Booker absolutely should be playing because he's that glue guy, because of the defense, because of things that we've talked about here on this podcast. And that, Matthew, is why Bill Simmons pissed me off this week. That should be a section or a segment on this show. What about Bill Simmons pissed John off this week?
Yeah, that's a good one. Another reason that he pissed me off, you listen to the podcast and it starts out with politics. I can't stand that stuff. I mean, it's weird that people care that much to really have a fucking podcast about it. But then I guess he got on the USA stuff because I just totally stopped listening to it because I'm like, why do you guys care this much? But I guess he do it just to kind of like spread the love to his other podcasts. Hey, go check this one out because politics are coming out. Okay, so that makes sense. That's okay. You can do that, Bill. But it makes sense where Devin Booker is getting more minutes and that he will probably be the starter for the USA team. And congrats to him, dude, because honestly, coming into this, Anthony Edwards was the guy. He was absolutely the dude after the playoff run. And then everyone thought that he was the best shooting guard in the league. This is not saying that he's not. I'm just saying for Booker to overcome that, to go face him again, and I'm sure it gets under Booker's nerves a little bit. It has to lose, to get swept to the guy and have to play next to him. And everyone's just like ranting, raving about the dude. He's going to be the starter in the U.S. Olympics. Booker just keeps calm. He's a serious guy. He goes in there, works, and he pulls it off. He's the best, like you said, glue guy on the court. And we've seen it time and time with him, even with the Suns. So that's awesome. And now I can kind of just see like the headlights going into next year, where if he is a glue guy, it's like, does he take a step back, make Kevin Durant or Beal the number 1 and 2, and then Booker can just be that other dude on the court? So
that's a great statement right there, because it's true, because we've seen what Devin Booker can do in the last Olympics and through these Team USA games. We've seen how great he is as a third or fourth option. And when you have like Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant on your team, it's like, well, if Booker just kind of hangs back, is that a best case scenario for the Suns? Yeah, it isn't, but that's going to be
we'll see how it plays out, right?
About it.
Yeah,
100%. All right, a couple of things that I want to talk about on this edition of the Suns Gym Session Podcast. Our thoughts, really.
Thoughts. Brains.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, Matthew, I don't know if you saw, did you see the new Booker colorways?
I did.
November 14th?
Yeah, the purple ones, right? Yeah.
So I'm pulling them up on the screen if you're watching. If you're listening, just imagine just a beautiful Phoenix Sun shoe, right? It's the Book One.
It's beautiful.
It's all in purple, and then the sole of the shoe has that valley gradient, right? Where it starts purple in the back, it fades to orange and yellow up front. It's absolutely gorgeous. My one issue with this is I would like the Nike swoosh to have some color to it, whether it's white or one of the Phoenix Suns colors, or it mirrors that gradient. But still, it's just an absolutely beautiful shoe. Thoughts on the Book Ones, man?
I like them. They definitely stopped me in my tracks. Stopped my finger in the tracks. When I was scrolling through and I saw those bad boys pop up, I could see myself wearing them. I do like how the Nike sign does blend in with the shoe.
See, that's where we differ.
Yeah, even the bottom. So this is perfect, man. How many pairs has he had so far? Is this number like 22 or something like that?
No. Well, I mean, if you look at like player editions, he's had a ton of them. But shoes that are actually released for purchase, I think this will be number 5. He had the Mirages, the Mirage version 2s, which I own, the Rattlesnakes, the Havens, which were the all black ones. There's that purple one that's coming out in a few weeks where it's like that light purple. And so this will be number 6. But just absolutely beautiful shoes.
Okay.
Yeah, just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, they're nice. Love them.
Support Devin Booker. Wear those. If you want to support the pod, as you can see, I'm wearing a Booker USA shirt. It's on the Redbubble shop, the Suns Jam Session Redbubble shop. So I kind of designed these myself, stealing the idea from Team USA. So if you'd like to get one, it's a lot cheaper than one of those shirts you can get from Nike. Visit the link in our description below and support the podcast that way. Okay. Let's play a little game, Matthew. I don't have a drop for this one. I can just do a drop. Let's see. We'll do
a random drop.
Here we go. Random draw.
Fuck.
All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play a little Would You Rather. Okay. You can definitely tell that it is the off season when you start doing the Would You Rathers and going through subjective conversations about things that could never happen or would never happen. But you just want to talk about them.
Yeah.
Get to know each other a little bit. Understand who the other person is and their point of view. Again, like I said, book ones, I'd like to see the swoosh have some color with it. Matthew likes how it blends in. We're different people. So our first Would You Rather actually comes to us via Twitter. This is from @ValleyBoysUp. He says, would you rather have a guaranteed championship this season followed by 50 years of misery and irrelevance, or 50 years of relevance with a shot at many titles, but you're not guaranteed anything?
All right, so a shot at a title, is that going to be like a season like this past season where it's like you're guaranteed to make the playoffs and we're a title contender? Is that going to be a shot? Is that just
That's
making the
how I
playoffs?
interpret. I interpret it as it says 50 years of relevance with a shot at many titles, but you're not guaranteed anything.
Ooh.
I look at that the first 56 years of Phoenix Suns basketball.
I
They've
think
been
so, too.
relevant, right?
Yeah, we've been pretty relevant, and it's been very painful, especially the expectations are there every year. So I would definitely get the one championship just to see what it feels like.
See, that's where I differ.
It feels very nice.
That's where I differ. I say,
Really?
give me 50 years of relevance with a shot at many titles, but you're not guaranteed anything. That's not saying we don't win a title.
Okay.
Because we both know what it's like to be irrelevant and how boring that is, and how you go through the process of drafting and all that in hopes that you can get to relevancy. And once you have relevancy, it's tough. It's tough because you want to win and you're close to winning and something breaks your way, or a transaction didn't work out, or an injury occurred, or a team, you just ran into a buzzsaw like Michael Jordan. But I'd rather we will sit here and have conversations about great teams in Suns history and have much more debate and fodder than talking about the shit teams, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about this pod continuing on for 50 years, then definitely let's be relevant, because it's a lot more fun. Because I don't want to go through what Dave King did and covering the Suns
during the
winning
worst
games
possible decade.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I mean, maybe you have to pay your dues, but I don't see it going that way for a while with Matt Ishbia. So I think maybe we're in the 50 years right now.
And I get
starting
the plus side of that is you're guaranteed a championship. And so maybe that's what it is. It's like you become, God, what's a good example of a team that only won one? Oklahoma City Thunder, I guess, but they don't really count. But like Seattle, right?
Seattle, yeah, I was going to say
Portland.
Seattle.
Portland won one.
Milwaukee before they won again.
Yeah, but I think Portland's a good one. They won in 1977, haven't won since. Made a couple finals appearances, right? They lost to the Detroit Pistons in 89, and then they lost to the Bulls in 92. So they've had some relevancy, but they haven't. And they got that one championship.
Yeah.
But they've had a lot of peaks and valleys.
And they're like everyone's favorite like their second favorite team, I feel like.
Yeah, they're always like nobody hates the Trailblazers.
No.
Like, show me somebody who hates the Trailblazers. I want to meet that person. Like, I truly just want to be like, what did they do to you? Because they're like the Suns. It's why, and if you've listened to this podcast or you're watching it, you know that this is something that I say quite often. And I'll never understand it about opposing teams and fan bases as they perceive the Suns. There's a genuine like hatred for the Suns and players on the Suns. And I've never understood it because we've never hurt anybody's feelings. Okay, we might have bumped a team or two out of the playoffs here and there, but on the grand scheme of things, they always get us back. We've never won a title to hurt to be in an NBA Finals against like Milwaukee. Had we won that NBA Finals, that fan base would have true justification to hate us because they haven't won since 1972. They finally get back. I mean, they hadn't been back to the finals since they had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They finally get back, and we beat them. That, like, I would say that's a fan base that is permitted to hate Phoenix. There's interdivisional rivalries and things like that, but it goes back and forth over a long enough period of time. But we've never truly hurt somebody's feelings. It takes a real asshole to hate the Suns. That's my summation.
Yeah, I think it just started with the finals run that we had. That's what, because now that we do like the subreddit stakeout, I think that started like the season after.
Yeah.
Like I think we really saw it then. That has to be based off of Booker and this team heading to the finals. Because before that, no one hated Booker. Then he started performing well and actually winning in the playoffs with this team. Then people started to hate him. So it started there. And the Trailblazers did that, which they did. They made it pretty far, conference finals, a couple years ago with Lillard. I just don't see the hate either. Like I can't pop into subreddit stakeout, I feel like, as the opposing team and just see like all the hate for as a Trailblazers fan, just see all the hate poured on me. I just can't see that. That it probably does not exist. There's no way.
There's aspects of the basketball game that you don't like. Like I remember when we used to play Portland and they had Nurkic. Nurkic used to drive me nuts because he'd get away with every moving screen. So there's little things like that, but there's not like, dude, fuck Portland, man. They remember that time they didn't do anything. And so says Jay's right in the chat. Says people have been hating on Book well before 2020, as does the big war.
He was just not. Was it the whole like good stats, bad team guy hate? Is that what we're talking about?
There was part of that. There's something
just
about
he
Booker.
he wasn't respected. I feel like
everyone thinks he's a good looking guy. You know,
yeah, I
like,
guess
no one hates on SGA because he's kind of ugly, right? Like,
yeah, I guess.
You know, I mean, it's kind of what it comes down to. Book's a good looking,
so?
a good looking. Yeah, I don't know. He's not Devin Booker. He's
Everyone
not
does hate Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, that's true.
You know,
for
so
no
like,
reason.
You know, there's a version of you know, it's just like, yeah, fuck that guy. He's a good athlete and he's good looking. You know, there's that, and there's the other ancillary things where people just find reasons to hate Booker. They're like, I hate his beady eyes. So says Jay says it's jealousy, simple. And Hey.0 says SGA is not ugly.
I don't think he's ugly.
I wouldn't say he's ugly. I wouldn't say he's pretty though. He ain't Devin Booker pretty.
I think he's pretty though. I think Booker's like Booker's pretty too, but SGA is like a pretty, like a model pretty.
No, Booker's model pretty.
Booker has a weird look to him though. It's different.
He's got model. It's a model look. He could be like on Zoolander, modeling those new Book ones.
I don't know. I think Booker.
Would you
Booker's
rather
a really good looking guy?
Devin Booker or SGA?
Both. Just kidding.
Our next would you rather, and I'm with the big warthog in the chat. He goes, I hate SGA because he gets all the calls. Yeah, he's a foul baiter. Like that's what I can't stand.
He's good at basketball.
Game. He's good at.
I don't want basketball. I can't do this. I can't do this right now. I don't want to get into basketball yet. We just started talking about hating players and then foul calls. I can't do it right now. Dude. Man, I need a break. I need another month or two. Start doing that shit.
And Hey.0 says SGA has swag, especially with his silk hair. Yeah, I don't know if I see the swag. I don't see the swag. Okay, would you rather have a healthy Amari in 2006 or a healthy Danny Manning in 1995?
Yeah, as soon as I saw this question, and speaking of looks, I was like, I'm going to go Amari. Plus, I mean, the reason being I was more alive. I was more of a Suns fan, and I needed that championship more than anything in my life. So, of course, I wanted a healthy Amari Stoudemire. And I wanted him back, too. You know, what if we had him for the year after we traded him? We might have won that title. Danny Manning, 95, don't remember too much. Obviously, he was a big X factor in that title run, but weird looking dude. So, good basketball player. Weird fucking dude. Probably the weirdest looking guy that ever played the game, right?
No, man. Fucking Sam Cassell.
True.
This is a tough one. So you think back to both of these instances. 2005, 2006, the season after 7 seconds or less, took the world by storm, but then changed up their roster, right? Gone was Joe Johnson. Gone was Quentin Richardson. And what's his nugget? Amari Stoudemire, that was the microfracture knee surgery season. He ended up playing 3 games. And the team played well, had a good run, and what made it so or makes this so enticing is the fact that you look at that season and you look at the team lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Dallas Mavericks, and then the Dallas Mavericks go and they lose in the NBA Finals to Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat. So in my opinion, that is definitely that's somebody the Phoenix Suns could have beat, right?
You think so?
I think they could have beat the Heat that year. That was, I mean, I know Shaq was there, but I think they could have beat him. I do. And then you go back to the 95 team. And the 95 team, and Danny Manning, that's the one where he got rolled up on in practice. He was like the perfect sixth man for that team. They were rolling, and that was another winnable title, in my opinion, because one, Jordan's out of the league. And the Houston Rockets, who end up winning the entire championship, and who the Suns lost to, they beat and sweep the Magic that year, a team that the Suns could have beat. So both of these scenarios, the end, if they could just gotten through the hurdle in their respective, where they got respectively eliminated, they could have gone on and won the title. I think for me personally, I think Amari being healthy is something I would have liked to see, because I just think that team just be, it's tough.
That was always a thing, though. It was always with him and getting injured all the time. It was a definite thing where we just thought when he came back, look at this team, we're gonna win it all. So, but with the Danny Manning one, like, I think that team with the Magic's easier to beat. Just the way Dwayne Wade was that year, man, with Shaq. I don't know.
It was peak Dwayne Wade. It was peak
he
Dwayne
was
Wade.
Insane. I think if you
but like Shaq and Penny,
yeah, that's true. But did you see his interview? He was talking about how he thought he was on course to be the next Michael Jordan, except for injuries. So he was that good, man. I feel like everyone kind of forgets how good he was. I think we do, but just going back and watching highlights and just remembering how great he was even before LeBron got there, like that dude was so amazing to watch. Impossibly so.
Yeah, he was. I don't know. That's an unanswerable one. I got one more. Would you rather? We'll make this one quick because I feel like we talk about this too much. And so says Jay in the chat, says, you guys should go back to talking about not depressing shit. It's the off season and we're Suns fans.
Dude.
It's all depressing shit.
When we win a championship, we'll relive every game.
Yes.
That's what we'll do.
During the off season, let's go back to game 23 when we played the Magic.
Minute 12.
Or would you rather the Suns drafted
11:59?
Would you rather the Suns drafted De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese Halliburton?
You asked me a year ago, I'd say Halliburton. Right now, I'll say Fox. Because that Halliburton trade, we all thought, like, damn, what are they doing, right? Now you see kind of Halliburton on the USA team, and then how he kind of finished last year. I think Halliburton has definitely a career year next year, maybe the next 2 years. But right now, the way that Fox is blossoming into something that we thought he probably wasn't going to be.
Fox. I always wanted Fox.
I wanted Fox, but I didn't think he was going to be this good. When Halliburton left and they traded him, I didn't think Fox would be as good as Halliburton. I thought Halliburton was like maybe a half ton better than what Fox would bring, but he proved me wrong, and he's definitely a guy that the Suns missed on. And Halliburton thing, we'll have to see, because I think right now, if you're looking back to when the Suns could have drafted him, he would have been a perfect backup point guard to help the Suns win a championship. Is he a guy that can win a championship right now with the team he has? Maybe not. Is Fox? Maybe not, but I would have definitely had Fox.
I think it's tough, and I agree with everything you just said. And I always wanted to see Fox next to Booker. Like, that made me so mad when we didn't get him. Tyrese Halliburton, a bigger gamble, a weird draft. I get it. But in the same token, seeing how he would have played next to Devin Booker, and we've seen some of it on Team USA. He's a perfect complement to Devin Booker. And he's long, and he's got a funky shot, but he would set up that offense. And it's revisionist history. We don't know who would be on the team right now. You can't say that Kevin Durant would be there. But whoever would be on that team, Tyrese Halliburton as a point guard is much better than De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, in late game situations, you trust him more. So to have him and Booker would be just amazing to watch. But again, you never know. In my opinion, I would rather have Fox too, because it's the timeline, everything's together. I was always a big fan of Fox when he played at Kentucky. I thought it would have been great to have that Kentucky Wildcat backcourt replacing Eric Bledsoe, who, by the way, I was watching it's called the basketball tournament. Do you remember the basketball tournament?
Is it the Big Three?
No, Big Three is different. This is called the basketball tournament.
No, I never watched it.
So this is, you did, you just don't remember. This was the first sport back after COVID. They were the first one to do a little bubble, and it's a bunch of like alumni from Kentucky versus like guys who went to Marshall, right? And Eric Bledsoe's on the Kentucky alumni team. I saw the other, I'm like, there's fucking Eric Bledsoe out there. Just side note, I'm like, I guess he wanted to be
I don't
there.
remember watching that. But
You know, it was the first
No.
sport back in summer 20. We did podcasts about it. I guarantee you. I was going through
Okay.
some of our old podcasts the other day, and I was just like, because you got to remember, we started podcasting in November of 19, and 3 months later the world ended, and then but we kept podcasting right through it, and we just, I mean, there's a podcast where we had your sister on, and we're doing
yeah, we're doing some comic book
Marvel
stuff, right?
yeah.
Marvel, yeah. Yep.
This is unbelievable.
The dark days.
Well, you know, for those of you who are watching or listening, you might pick up on a theme that we're doing here for no reason at all. We're naming all of our podcast titles after Metallica albums this summer. You know, I think last summer I was naming them after 90s songs, and this summer we're naming them after Metallica albums. And this week is called Load. And it's all like, when we get ready for the season, we'll do Reload. And maybe when we have a bunch of people on and I have to like move all of the things around to bring guests on, I'm mastering the puppets. Maybe we'll do Master of Puppets. But last week, what album did we do? Ride the Lightning?
Yeah.
Load. Do you remember the Load album from Metallica?
No, I was actually going through it earlier, and I'm back on it right now. And it's funny because I don't know any of the names.
Really?
Except for Hero of the Day.
Hero of the Day was damn good.
That's it.
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
you're
what
7
are the
years
songs
younger
on
than me,
here?
I guessed. Well, so this album came out in 1996. So yeah, you were like 7 years old. Whereas I was like 14. It was like right in my wheelhouse. But King Nothing, Ain't My Bitch was the single, right? She ain't my bitch. Dun, 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 dun,
Heard
dun.
that?
Until It Sleeps is probably my favorite song on the album. Hero of the Day, you know, King Nothing. This was kind of Metallica's comeback, because they had made the self-titled Black Album in 1991. That's when they quote unquote sold out, and they had been cranking albums out before that. And then boom, they hit us with Load 5 years later, and it just kind of had a different sound to it. And everyone was like, I don't know, and a different logo on it too, because all the other ones had kind of the
Blood and
Metallica's.
Sperm?
What's that?
It says the album's cover features combinations of blood and sperm.
That's correct. That's what.
Load. Okay, get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
There it is. And then Reload is the next album, which is another great album. It has Unforgiven 2, which was a big one. But yeah, I was really. So this was like right when I grew up very sheltered, as I'm sure I've talked about on childhood trauma. And I didn't listen to a lot of modern music, right? Like I grew up on records and oldies. That's what we listened to until about 1995, when my parents got divorced, and all of a sudden, like I started listening to the radio. So Nirvana, all that stuff. Like I missed the grunge era, although it was like right in the era when I should have been listening to it. Now I listen to everything kind of retroactively or a couple years after it happened. Like I loved Sublime. I found Sublime like right after Bradley Nowell died. But Metallica was one of those bands that, like, when Load came out, I listened to it, and when Reload came out, by then I'd listened to the whole catalog, and I was really excited for that. I remember that album coming out, going down to Best Buy on 24th Street in Camelback and buying the CD, because by the time Reload came out, you know, I think it was just a year later. But I remember going down there. I think my sister took me and her boyfriend, and I bought the Reload album. So I was retroactively catching up, like hip hop, all that stuff. It was amazing when I moved, because when I grew up in California, I didn't listen to any of that stuff. Moved out here, started going to public school, not private school, and all of a sudden, like TLC, Gangsta's Paradise, like changed my life. That was the song. I was like, "What's this? It's got a good beat."
Yeah, I remember going to get TLC at Target, but I do kind of miss like seeing an album art. Like you have your favorite bands, you go to their websites, and you just kind of wait for that album to release. Like they have the ticker, and they always have the album cover. And you're like, fuck, dude, that looks so awesome. Like, what a fucking, and you go there and you see it, like, oh my God, here it is. Like that was always the thing. Like seeing an album when it was like, oh my God, this is already out. And like
reading the entire booklet.
Yeah, I remember opening that, reading the lyrics before I actually listened to the songs. And it's funny because I would try to guess if the song was good based on the lyrics. And it was usually like the best lyrics always were like the worst songs. But like Coheed and Cambria, I know no one knows them, but they had the best lyrics ever. But their songs sucked. So
yeah,
that was one example.
What was the first CD you ever bought?
First one I bought, Well, I was given a bunch of CDs.
But when's the
And,
first one you ever
the
bought?
one I know, but I can't remember that.
What was the first one you ever like remember receiving then?
I think the first one I ever bought was Toxicity, System of a Down.
Nice.
I think so, but
good
I feel
album.
like that's way too late though. I feel like I gotten ones before that, but I was given a lot of CDs, and then I think that was the first one I actually went out to purchase. I remember listening to it, and I was like, "Damn, these songs! I feel like I've already heard them before." Like that's how good it was because they're very, very
Spark
fucking
something.
catchy. Yeah.
First CD I ever bought, and I still have it out in a box in my garage, and it was the single for "Always Be My Baby" by Mariah Carey. The 5-song single had different versions on it. One with Debrat, and that album, which was the Daydream album, is what that came off of. And the first full-length album that I purchased was "Jagged Little Pill" by Alanis Morissette.
Okay.
And I bought
That's
it
a
on
lot to
Tower
admit.
Records down there on 40th Street and Thomas. And I brought it home, and I didn't have a CD player. My sister had a CD player. She had the big old system CD player, you know? And so like I snuck in there and I was playing it, and she got so mad at me for doing it, and she made me take it back, and I had to take it back. It was a whole thing. Thanks, Bonnie.
So the first that's the first CD I bought, but the first like song or whatever I got was Bone Thugs and Harmony Resurrection, and it was recorded my friend on a tape though. That was like the first like I went out to go get it, but my friend actually just burnt it for me. And I was like, or not burnt it, but he like recorded it or whatever.
Yeah.
I was so excited about that, dude. And the tape.
Yeah, tapes were different because I used to record, like Lights Out Phoenix, and it's like all the slow R&B back then.
Yeah.
I used to do that. So, last thing I want to talk about before I get out of here is this is one of those time jamsters where you can just go away. Matthew and I, sometimes the only time we ever talk is on the podcast, and I have some questions for him. And if you guys want to stay here and listen to our conversation, you can. But Matthew, I got a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Sir.
Here I am again, a summer later, and I'm contemplating cutting the cord. How do you watch Suns games?
Damn, let's see. The what do I have? I have to think because yeah. I have an antenna. I do.
Okay.
That's how I was doing it. Yeah. You and my mom. You're like the last ones that have like DirecTV or or Cox Communications.
My mom has it too.
Yeah, I watch it by that, or also I'm thinking like because every game is on there, either on the apps though or that. Because if I use the apps, and I use like your login or my mom's login for the apps.
Gotcha.
So then I don't know how that works after that.
Well, that login's going to be going away. I'm looking at YouTube TV.
Damn it.
And I did the math on it, and I'll save like $500 a year by going to YouTube TV, and I get the NFL Sunday ticket.
Oh, baby.
So
here we go.
So I was thinking of cutting the cord, getting YouTube TV, buying an antenna and putting it up on the roof, like taking down the DirecTV dish, putting an antenna up there so it comes to the house the same way. It's on the side of the house.
Okay.
I can do it with a ladder.
Can't you just get the one that screws in the back and just sits there? That's what I do.
No, I want like a $30 one from Home Depot. I'm going to put that one up.
Okay.
Because it plugs right into the same cable system that runs the DirecTV. I'll be fine. What do you mean? What, did you hear the story about me cutting live wires the other day?
No, I'm just like, don't do anything.
You didn't hear that story?
No, I did hear that.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think you came on the pod like the next day or the right after or something.
Did I talk about it?
Yeah. Yeah, you told me right away.
Must have memory loss. Yeah, cutting live wires. Now, obviously, one of the advantages that we have is we have the playback channel, so I can see every Suns game via playback moving forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but like you can watch games on playback and you don't have to go live. You just go onto the stage and then select what you want and sit. Like that's how I've watched the last Summer League games and Team USA games. I didn't feel like going live. Now, granted, if you guys want to hang out with the Suns Jam Session podcast on the Bright Side of the Sun playback channel for Game 1 of the Olympics, we will be doing that. We will be live 8:15 a.m. on Sunday morning. We will be hosting a show.
Is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's Sunday morning. Sunday morning, 8:15.
Oh, it's Sunday. Okay.
It's Sunday. Sunday. So yeah, Matthew and I will be live doing that. So that should be a good time. But yeah, outside of that, we're going to cut the cord here. It looks like at the Voida household. Be just like you, Matthew. And then Justin just said in the chat, he's like, he'll just send me his passwords. I appreciate that, Justin. You're a real one. In case I have any connectivity issues, send them to Matthew too, because he uses.
That's who he was talking to.
He uses mine apparently, and I did not know it. So, anything else you want to talk about?
Using yours for like 10 years, dude.
Yeah, I forgot.
I only use it for TNT and then ESPN. That's it.
Yeah, how do you watch those games?
I just
Using
use
my
your
shit?
login. DirecTV.
Oh, well, I'll have YouTube TV, so I'll be able to see ESPN and TNT. So, okay, sounds like a plan.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Well, on that note, Jamsters, we appreciate you hanging out with us again, even though it's late July. There's not much to talk about. Matthew and I always have something to say. So appreciate you coming by. Make sure you stop by, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't been on Apple Podcasts and rated us 5 stars, please do so. It's been like 2 or 3 months, Matthew, since we've had a review. And if you happen to be watching on YouTube, it's a reminder that 46.9% of the people who watch this podcast have not subscribed. So subscribe, motherfucker.
Suck a fish.
That's right. All right, Matthew,
All right.
take us home.
Yeah, go home, love your family, everybody.
Go home and love your YouTube TV.